Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome. You might have just caught a little bit of intro music there by Alex humming. Another soccer video, another Shred the Spread soccer video today. We've got myself, we've got Daniel, and we have the frozen man himself, Alex, whose camera is not working, so we will hear him. We can't see him, except for that frozen image there.
I'll put an IT ticket in tomorrow.
Better put that in at work on that work computer.
Yeah.
So, Shred the Spread soccer video, sponsored by no one, beholden by no one, but that does not mean that we are not looking for sponsorship. So I'm just throwing that out there if anybody would like their product, showcased on this video. So, boys, let's get right to it. How's your week going? How was your bets last week? And maybe we'll talk some Manchester teams. Anything stand out to you last week? Let's go, Daniel.
Say that again? Me?
Anything, Daniel, anything stand out with maybe one of the Manchester teams? We were talking right before this, and you a little let down that you didn't bet the draw between Wolves and City.
Yeah, before we were recording the last podcast, I talked to Ryan, and I thought that Manchester City was not going to be able to defeat Wolves, and unfortunately I didn't have the guts to put that bet in, and that's exactly what happened. So today I have something similar, and I'm going to do it. So if you want to bet, good stuff, listen to me.
Ooh, exciting. Daniel is teasing his picks for later in the show.
Got it.
On the other side, the red side of Manchester, also not doing quite well. Alex down there in the frozen screen. What happened?
I don't know what to say, really. It's first of all, the game started off on a Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So all normal people who work 9 to 5 were going to miss this bloody game. So I was stuck watching highlights and poor streams afterwards. But I managed to catch a lot of the action. Funny thing. United lose two of the opening 3 Premier League games since 1992. The starting 11, Herrera starting at right back, the right defensive player in a 3 in the back. So that should be a little bit indicative of some issues. Lukaku, I think he missed a pretty wide open net on a Danny Rose mess up. I think that if they would have scored that goal, it might have changed the pace of the game a little bit more towards the direction. But it just goes to show, I think, that Lindelof is not quite up to snuff. He's out of his depth. He needs a lot more experience in a mid-table team instead of a world-class team like United. Listening to a couple podcasts over the week make a good point about, in the past, Mourinho was able to make not so good players great, and I think that it's possible that the time is over. Really, Mourinho's got some good players, and they're just not playing all that well, except for our little English left back Luke Shaw, who is potentially going to get a English call up for their European qualifiers during the international break.
And then there's other good players who weren't even playing, like Sanchez.
I don't want to talk about Sanchez. Okay, this brings up a good point. That club, since Mourinho shows up, spent 40 million quid of pounds?
400 million.
400 million since Mourinho got there.
Mm-hmm.
Are you referring to your team as that club?
I think. Well, okay, yeah. I will say yes. They managed to spend that much money on players they don't need, like Sanchez, when they have a perfectly fine.
I agree.
They have a perfectly fine Rashford. They have a perfectly fine Martial. 2 young, quality players who 15 years ago, under Ferguson, they would have shone. They would have. That's exactly how Ferguson ran. He gave opportunity to youth and made them into players that were great. But Mourinho goes and buys a 29-year-old Sanchez because he doesn't want City to sign him. It's frustrating, and that's maybe I was a Mourinho fan when he first showed up. I thought he was going to do great things, but maybe I got caught up in his personality and his bloody charm.
Well, that charm is starting to wear off. I can hear the dejection in your voice just as you talk about this team. They started that game all right. You know, they did have 57% of the possession. They outshot Tottenham 23-9, but yeah, I don't know, not putting it together. And I mean, I personally can't stand listening to that guy in his Mourinho in his press conferences. I mean, I believe he walked out of a press conference this week. Respect.
Premierships.
I have 3 titles, more than everybody else. Well, you know, Wenger also had 3 before he, retired or left. So
yeah, Mourinho was holding that in his back pocket until Wenger left, right?
Absolutely, couldn't use it until now, and now he's using it. So, all right, well, moving on from some Manchester teams, let's move on to maybe some happier notes. I just want to point out, I think Everton's games are going to be exciting this year. I mean, I think I had them in a both teams to score bet, and they drew 2-2 with Bournemouth last week. Their games have been 2-2, 2-1, 2-2. So I'm just looking for a lot of exciting games with Everton. I think there'll be a lot of goals on both sides. And any other games last week stand out to you, Daniel?
I'm surprised that Liverpool were not able to extend that lead against Brighton. Basically, Salah scored an amazing goal at the beginning of the match, and then Liverpool just started playing and relaxing a little bit. But they got to be more careful moving on, because they're not going to get that advantage with any other teams. And we're talking about Bournemouth and Everton. You were talking about it. This is a team that was winning 2-0, and they were playing with the same amount of players after the 61st minute when this player from Bournemouth got sent off as well, and they let themselves tie. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit disappointing for Everton. Pickford is an amazing goalkeeper. He plays for the national team. And it's such a shame that Everton couldn't take those 3 points. I was actually hoping for them to take the 3 points. And I'm also very disappointed on Arsenal. I know they won, but I watched that match. It's one of the few matches I could watch completely. And there's nothing very special about Arsenal. They were very lucky, and that's not going to be enough for them to climb up to the table and to the European positions. So the rest is what I was expecting. I'm surprised that Chelsea could not open the score before they just opened the score that late. They should probably, because the problem with Chelsea, and this is why I think that Chelsea is not going to make it in English Premier League. English Premier League, as opposed to the Italian league, which is what I'm used to watching lately, it's a league where you need a number 9 striker, and it has to be a world class if you want to win it. In Italy, if you have the best defense, you'll probably win the league. But in the English Premier League, that's not the way it works. And Chelsea doesn't have a world-class number 9. With all respect to Giroud, French didn't win the World Cup, and I don't know if I mentioned that before, but they didn't win the World Cup thanks to Giroud. And Morata, I love Morata, but it's not a world-class number 9. That's what Liverpool has that Chelsea doesn't. I think Chelsea is eventually going to drop. Also, the fact that they have a new coach that has no idea what the English Premier League looks like, unless you're Conte, who knows how to win leagues in the first season. I don't think Sarri is going to be able to pull off a victory that easy on his first season under Chelsea. So that's pretty much my summary of what happened in the English Premier League during the weekend. Arsenal really needs to work on their offense and on their passing after they go after third quarters of the field. That's when they need to work, and they need to practice a little bit more.
And Alex, did anything else catch your eye, the games on the weekend besides Manchester?
Well, as we get as we get deeper and deeper into the Premier League, I think that Cardiff shows its lack of class completely. there's besides saying that, there's nothing else to say about them. There's no shining stars. There's no excitement. They're just there, like a placeholder.
They're just, how should we say, maybe relegation bound.
Yeah, and I think I might have chosen them as one of my relegation bound teams. But we've given them enough attention just by saying that.
I have a bet on them to go down, so I will be cheering them to lose most weeks.
Yeah, I think the Arsenal and West Ham game, the result didn't indicate anything from Arsenal. I don't think 3-1 for them shows much about them. I think it just shows a lack of quality from West Ham. Although I secretly, one of my good friends is a West Ham fan, and since I've met him, he's kind of convincing me more and more that West Ham are a team to follow. I would never betray my United team, but I really hope for the best. I think Pellegrini was treated unfairly at City. I think he's got the experience in the Premier League to get West Ham in the top 10 and possibly further later on coming in the years. But don't look at that 3-1 win for Arsenal and say, my God, Arsenal is going to be a great team this year. That's the opposite, I would say.
Well, that's Arsenal. I will have a little bit more on some of these teams that we've been talking about in some of the best bets, as I'm sure you guys do. And just to give everybody a little idea, we're going to move into a little recap of the bets from last week and some EPL bets as well as any other bets. And then we're going to do a little touch on the Champions League draw because that was today. So the 8 groups are now set. So we'll talk about that after our picks. And on that note, let's bring up the stand. I'm going to try something new this week. I made the standings beforehand. So let's see if we can share the screen. Can you guys see this results screen?
I can.
All right, so fantastic. So these are the overall standings. Daniel is slightly in the lead there, basically 2 times whatever he would have bet so far. Alex just slightly below. We did not have your bets last week. You were away, so that's why you have so fewer number of bets as the rest of us. And I am just basically even, but one unit down. So I was 2-2 last week. I technically was plus 0.010, so technically in profit. Daniel 4-4 last week, and you were a little bit over, made a little bit of profit too. Your last game there came in this middle of the week there with River Plate coming through. So where things are looking up, and let's move on to this week's games. Alex, do you have any bets you want to talk about?
Yeah, of course. I'm getting more and more comfortable making these types of bets. So I'm looking at the Fulham-Brighton game. Just a quick reflection on Mitrovic against, oh God, who was he playing? Burnley. 2 goals, great showing, great Fulham player. I know he played for Newcastle last year, but everybody knew that once Fulham got promoted into the Premier League, Mitrovic was going to go back. And I think that this is a good step forward. And I think he's going to bring that momentum forward into the Brighton game. Draw. It's going to be a draw. Mitrovic to score.
So are you going to have 2 separate bets, a draw?
And no, I'm connecting those bad boys.
Connecting those. A draw, Brighton. Okay, well, I will look into those odds after the show because I'll have to probably push a whole bunch of buttons to figure it out.
Yes, please do. However, I do have a stat that Brighton have won their last 5 games against Fulham, but I think stats can be wrong.
If there was any game on the card this weekend that looked like a draw, it would definitely be this one. So,
yeah, I think if it were Brighton away, Fulham would win. My punt for the week is Bournemouth over Chelsea with both teams to score.
Oh, boy.
Bournemouth won 3-0 against Chelsea last year, and I think they can do it again.
I like it. Okay.
This is in London, you know?
Oh, yeah, but Chelsea are a shadow of what they used to be. And I think that they haven't shown any type of strength over the course of the last couple of games.
Yeah, I agree.
The third of my 4 bets is Wolves to win, both to score, and Jimenez is going to score one of those goals. So I'll say Wolves to win and both to score as combined, and Jimenez will score.
As the second one?
As the second one.
And who to score?
Jimenez.
Okay.
And finally, I like what Palace is doing. I like Harry Redknapp. He's entertaining. You don't understand anything that guy's saying, but he's brought teams to success and not relegation. Palace to beat Southampton with Zaha to score.
Palace win. So as one bet or separate?
Yes. Wait.
Palace to win and Zaha score.
Yeah.
I'll look into that one too. Palace to win and Zaha score. Okay. Is that it for your EPL for now?
Yep.
All right. I've got 4 separate ones. I'll just so I don't go on a big rant later. I'll throw one of them out now, and then we'll go to Daniel to get some of his too. So my first one, I talked about Everton before, and I want to take Everton over Huddersfield. Huddersfield just looks like a team that's going to be going right back down. Unfortunately, Everton will be without Richarlison after he headbutted somebody last week and got red carded, so that will be disappointing. But still, Everton at home, they beat Huddersfield 2-0 both times last year at both home and away. Huddersfield have 1 goal this year in 3 games. They've lost 6-1 already on the road. They just lost midweek to Stoke as well in that was a League Cup game. Obviously, no Richarlison, not great. But I'll take Everton. I'm going to put that with Arsenal over Cardiff. Cardiff, like I just said, relegation bound. We don't need to say too much more about them. Looks like a game that Arsenal should be able to destroy them. I mean, if Arsenal doesn't beat Cardiff, I mean, that would be shocking. And I don't have much faith in Huddersfield. So I'm going to do that as one of my bets at plus 130. And before I do the rest, Daniel, what are you looking at?
Well, the big one in this week, I think Watford and Tottenham are going to tie.
Oh,
yeah!
Wow!
I don't think Tottenham will win. I think it's going to be the first game where they're going to lose points. I like Watford. Roberto Pereira is playing amazing. He's scoring
quality
game. He's a good guy. He's a good player. I don't think he's going to be able to score, but I think Watford is going to get a result at home against Tottenham. The other tie will be West Ham against Wolves. I think they're going to tie. Pellegrini is going to start. I agree with Alex. I think Pellegrini is going to eventually get more results and try to understand how to get West Ham up in the table. Manchester United is going to beat Burnley. That's my third bet. I think they're gonna breathe a little bit and they're gonna make some points away. I want to put Arsenal against Cardiff too, but I mean for our viewers, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep with those 4 bets for now.
Arsenal actually,
don't worry, he won't mind. Our viewer won't mind, Dan.
I would just like to say the odds this week on Arsenal are way less obvious than the odds last week on Arsenal. Last week when you took Arsenal, Daniel, they were minus 275. This week they're minus 175.
Well, their 63% win probability and 15% on Cardiff. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me that Cardiff gets a tie there.
Oh my God!
I don't like Arsenal at all. I don't know I like Arsenal as a team, but so far, I don't know.
What's with Ozil? I know that he's dealing with a lot of shit. I guess, is there an explicit symbol on this podcast? Because I just said shit.
I think free reign. We don't have the budget to go back and edit. So
how could you not have one of the best creative midfielders in the Premier League since 2010? I think he showed up. How could he not be a starting player?
Which midfield?
Ozil.
The guys won everything that you could possibly win except for the Premier League.
Well, he wasn't last week. He wasn't even cold. It wasn't even
cold, quote unquote. I'm using air quotations right now.
I don't know, man. I don't think that Emery is that crazy not to call him in.
Oh, got a new frozen picture. I like it.
I don't know. I don't think that Emery is that dumb to not call Ozil at least as in the bench. I think he was actually not able to play.
Fun fact: he's banned fruit juice from the training grounds.
No, I heard that.
Oh,
I mean, it's all sugar, anyways.
Yeah. Just a fun fact.
yes.
Take that for what it's worth. All right. I'm throwing another one of mine here. Daniel already talked about some West Ham and Wolves. I think you picked a draw on that. I'm hoping that you think it might be a scored draw because I think both teams will score in that game between West Ham and Wolves. They also just played both in not against each other, but they both played midweek in the League Cup. The Wolves have been scored on every game. They lost their last road game 2-0 at Leicester. West Ham have allowed 4, 2, and 3 goals. I know
that's a good bet.
there was a 4-0 loss and a 3-0 loss. We're on the road to Liverpool and Arsenal, so some tough teams, but they also lost at home 2-1 to Bournemouth. So I think Wolves is good. They can score. They've proven they can be scored on. So I think both teams to score there, and I want to throw that in. I know it's not an EPL game, but I'm going to throw that in with Bayern Munich as to make it a plus 114, just over even money. Bayern has not lost to Stuttgart since 2010, and it's been all wins since and they played quite a bit. Been all wins. I also think Man U will bounce back this week. I just think as bad as they've looked, this looks like the stock is so low on them right now. I think that's kind of the time to jump in. They're going to bounce back. So I want to put them with Watford has been good, like Daniel said. But I think I'll do Man U and Tottenham. It kind of looks too easy, but I'm going to go for it. I think if Tottenham doesn't follow up that win over Man U, then they kind of with another win. I think they've kind of wasted it in a way. Like they've lost that opportunity to kind of get ahead of some other teams if they go and blow one against Watford. Even though Watford has been very impressive, they actually are unbeaten in 7 games. If you go back into some of their preseason games, they have been looking really well. I'm going to go with those two. And then I've got one more. It's not, I guess we'll slowly transition to other leagues. Not Premier League related, but I like Leipzig, Lazio, and Monaco and Marseille to have both teams to score. I think Leipzig will look to bounce back after the thumping they took from Dortmund last week. They're also playing a promoted team. Lazio, playing another promoted team in Frosinone. Frosinone, they have 0 goals scored, 4 allowed. Lazio had the most home goals in Serie A last season, tied with Juve at 45. And if you look at the Monaco and Marseille head-to-head, last season was 2-2, 6-1, and 7 of the last 8 games between the two have been both teams to score. That's paying plus 162. So
historically, Lazio is the big team in Italy that is provides the most offense. That is the most offensive team. It's been like that forever, ever since I remember.
Oh, I'm feeling good. So you're in agreement. You don't see an upset then?
No. Lazio will beat Frosinone. You know what? I'm going to put Fiorentina is going to beat Udinese in Serie A.
Put that down for you?
Yeah. And if I were to tell our viewers about a good bet, it's going to be that Fiorentina is going to go to Europe next year.
So you're saying
it doesn't count for this week, but it's a little thing that I want to throw it there
for proof that you said it.
Yeah.
So like Europa League?
At least Europa League, yeah. They could make it to the UEFA Champions League too.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, but I think they're at least Europa League for sure.
Anything else you see in Serie A or any other leagues before we talk Champions League, Daniel?
I haven't even checked the Spanish La Liga matches. I don't even know what's going on there. Okay.
About Alex, anything else that whether it be MLS related or other leagues?
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit selfish here and hope that TFC have a blowout of LAFC this weekend when I go watch them.
Do you want to make that a pick?
No. I don't have faith in. I know that Osorio just signed a new contract, but it's tough, man. It's tough. We have a long road ahead of us.
LAFC did lose their captain. Laurent Simon has left for Ligue 1.
Where's he going?
He's a Belgian, by the way.
I want to say the Mustard Men, Dijon, I think.
Ooh,
Pull it up.
Ligue 1 Dijon, yeah.
Was I right?
Yeah, you were right.
Okay.
Yeah, Simon played for the Impact for a while, and then he moved down to LAFC. Now he's away there to.
Vanny has said that they need 6 wins to make the playoffs, and he was counting on home wins. I was watching the game last night against Portland. A lot of guys were rested, unfortunately. I was hoping for both teams to score. Unfortunately, Toronto could not get on the score sheet, but Javinko didn't play. Vasquez didn't play. There was a bunch of new guys in the lineup. It didn't go that well. They had some chances in the early going. They hit the post, but wasn't good enough. And on that TFC note, we will all be at this game.
Oh, nice.
Daniel, I got your ticket.
Yeah, we're going. LAFC. That's Magic Johnson's team, right?
Magic Johnson and Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
So I know, Alex, we got to try and meet up sometime with halftime or beforehand, CNE or something like that. But
we'll go enjoy a $12 beer.
Absolutely, and with a $15 porchetta sandwich.
I'm gonna go to the Rib Fest before. I mean, by the way, I told you that if you wanna go to the Rib Fest before the match, that's where I'm gonna be. But when I'm gonna try, right before I go to take the train to go, just gonna get a bunch of booze, so I don't have to pay I don't want to pay $12 for a beer, It's just ridiculous.
Well, some of us are driving from Cambridge, so.
Hey, going back to soccer. I'm going to trust once again my team in Spain. It's the derby of Seville city. I was in that city, beautiful city, and I went to a Real Betis game in December, and I fell in love with the team. I fell in love with the fans. So in that derby, Real Betis is going to beat Seville at home. I don't know how much, but they're gonna win.
You love your Betis.
I love them. Yeah, I trust them. I want them to do something good.
They're paying just under 2-1. So if that comes through, that will be good for you.
Yeah. I might put money on that.
Any other leagues or games before we talk some Champions League, boys?
Let's jump right into it.
All right. So this morning they did the pot draw, and then we had from those 4 pots drawn into 8 different groups, and we have them in front of us. I know I have it in front of me right now. I know at first glance, I find it tough to really pull out some underdogs. I mean, I see a lot of the first and second favorite teams that look good to win. I know I tried to pick out a few. I actually made one bet on this already. I made a bet on Juve to win Group H. So they are in a group with Man U, Valencia, and Young Boys. They're paying -200. I put that with City to win Group F against Lyon, Shakhtar, and Hoffenheim, which was -550, so not good. But then Bayern as well, I believe it was -700 in Group E against Benfica, Ajax, and Athens. But if you put those 3 together, it was +102. So I struggle to see City and Bayern not winning those groups. And I mean, between Juve, Man U, Valencia, and Young Boys, I don't know how Juve doesn't win that group unless Man U completely turns it around, which we're August and a lot can change in the next 4 or 5 months. But at first glance, I love those 3. Alex, anything jump out to you in these groups?
No. I mean, there. A lot of these groups are pretty easy to make a good guess right now. Just to name off my guesses: Group A, it's going to be Atleti and Dortmund. Barca and Spurs for Group B. Liverpool and PSG. And Ryan, don't worry about writing this down. I'll send you my picks later.
I think these are just talking points right now.
Yeah. Group D though is tough.
Yeah.
I think Schalke has a good chance of getting through. It's the second place team that's the most difficult for me. I am very hesitant choosing any of the Portuguese teams. Porto and Benfica both haven't had a very good summer. I'm secretly hoping that Galatasaray makes it through the second place team in Group D. E is easy, Bayern and Ajax. F will be City and Lyon. I think Lyon is a little bit of a punt for our group. Group G, Real and Roma. Roma will have a tougher time than they had last year, I think. They lost a lot of quality players. Did they replace their world-class goalkeeper? I don't think they did. And Group H will be the derby of
Podcast derby.
Podcast derby. But I do think that Juve will have it over United. But who cares? We'll both get through.
That's right.
Yeah, and those two tough, like you. I think the two groups of death could be probably a mix between Group B and Group C. There on B, we got Barca, Tottenham, Inter, and then the lowly PSV. And Group C there with PSG, Liverpool.
Can I show the picture to the audience?
I think we'll leave the picture out.
You can argue about it.
We'll leave that photo out for now. If anybody's still watching.
Just send us a message and I'll send it to you.
Send Alex a message. Find him on Facebook and he will send you the picture that depicts what Group B will likely look like.
Yeah. It's going to be videos. The videos are going to go on certain websites.
I like Liverpool in Group C. I mean, PSG is obviously favored, but I don't know. I expect big things from Liverpool and getting the plus money. Second favorites, they could win it. And I also have a bunch of stars beside Schalke in that Group D. That's probably the most wide open. Like Alex was saying, it's tough. At 2-1 odds, I like Schalke to win that one. And what about you, Daniel? What do you like?
There's a few surprises that I wanna throw out. Group A is gonna be Atletico Madrid, Borussia, Dortmund. I don't think that's gonna be a surprise there. I also agree with Barcelona and Tottenham for Group B. Group C, yeah, Liverpool and PSG. I'm not that sure about who's gonna end up first. I'm gonna say that Liverpool's gonna finish first. That's gonna be my first surprise. Group D, okay. So here I think Lokomotiv Moscow is gonna surprise everyone, and it's gonna finish second, right behind Schalke. It's gonna be my bet there. Group E, we have Bayern Munich, and yeah, it's gonna be Benfica number 2. I don't think it's gonna be a surprise. The other surprise I wanted to talk about, I was talking with the guys before the podcast. I think Shakhtar Donetsk is going to take the second place in Group F. They're going to relegate Lyon to Europa League. Real Madrid and Roma for Group G, although Roma has to be very careful with the Russian teams, especially when they're playing in winter. And that's got to be careful with that.
It's a good point.
Yeah. And Group H is going to be Juventus and Manchester United in that order. Those are my picks.
And I agree with you on that Shakhtar. We were talking beforehand, and they're actually the only team right now that I have preliminary highlighted as a third place, as a lower end team that going through. I'm sure there will be more than that, but I don't know. Lyon is nothing that special. I know that they're hoping to at least be top third in Ligue 1, but I believe people are always scouting out some of their players. I believe some teams are looking at Fekir, so hopefully he's around for them. But if he's not, you never know, he might be gone. Shakhtar, I remember Shakhtar from last year's Champions League, and I remember them playing teams tough. I could be wrong, but I feel like they played City last year as well. I might be wrong on that, but I remember the group they were in, and they were holding their own. I remember trying to bet against them, and the games were a lot closer than I thought. So I think they stand a good chance to.
Not only last year, they've been playing well in the UEFA Champions League. Not only last year, they've been playing UEFA Champions League very well throughout these last few years. Remember that Douglas Costa, who's now playing for Juve,
yeah,
in Shakhtar Donetsk. They have a good eye on capturing very good young players at the beginning before selling them out.
Yeah, Fred just came from there too, I think.
Who?
Fred for United.
Yeah, Fred too. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that PSG's quality in their league? Well, I guess maybe we should call it inequality or lack of parity in their league. Will that give them a little bit of an upper hand on Liverpool?
Upper hand or disadvantage, maybe.
Well, if it's just like Bayern. Who is Bayern up against in their league? Dortmund.
Dortmund, yeah. Schalke.
Schalke. I mean, I
Leipzig.
think that PSG may just win Group C just based on their strength and power in the league. They can devote their B team. I won't say B team, but they can rest their players on the weekend for Champions League matches during the week.
Yeah, they can rotate.
Yeah.
I often find it frustrating betting on PSG. There's been so many times where they look like they're going to blow out a team, and then they rest a bunch of players, or they just coast through and they draw some mid-table team. I always find their games tough when I bet on them. I try to stay away.
Juve also has that advantage, and Barcelona and Real Madrid too. Most of the matches, unless you're playing Atletico Madrid and Sevilla, most matches in La Liga, Barcelona and Real Madrid can perfectly rotate few players. So it is the English teams that suffer from that disadvantage, that they have to focus on a lot of competitions and very good quality on all of fronts.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, well, I see there's just a couple minutes ticking down left in this video time allotment. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Oh yeah, Copa Libertadores. We talked a little bit about River Plate, but
You got a minute or two to talk Libertadores.
no. Well, the quarterfinals are going to be great. I think River Plate is gonna take that Copa Libertadores. Yeah, I think I like River Plate, but I think they're gonna make it. So very good competition for whoever who has the chance of watching it. Great football. I enjoy it. I didn't go to the gym just because I was watching all the games yesterday. So yeah.
One of the many leagues I just don't have time to follow. Too many bets, not enough time.
Libertadores is a good league to bet.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have to shoot you a message on who you like later in the week then. But
Sure.
On that note, unless anybody else has anything else to add, I think we'll shut this guy down, and I'll see both you boys this weekend at TFC.
See you guys.
Ciao.
TFC.
Good night, everyone.